Howdy folks, welcome to my kitchen. I'm going to demonstrate a simple pasta dough just because a lot of people have been asking me about this, and the book about noodle soup is coming out soon, I hope. And so I just wanted to show you how easy it is to make pasta by hand. There's really nothing to it. This will take me just a minute or two, really. I've just got a big bowl here. I'm not measuring, but that's about a cup of flour. I'm gonna add in a big egg. Some people do it right on the board. I don't really see a need to do that. I'm gonna add in just a tiny bit of salt. I don't know how much that is. Half a teaspoon maybe. And I'm going to work this in just briefly. I might need a little water because obviously I haven't measured anything, but I'd really like a kind of stiff dough with this. What I'm using is a tipo doppio zero, which is from Naples, I guess. Yeah. And you can find this online, or if you have a good Italian grocer, they will usually carry it. That's where I get it in town. This kind of dough is usually more typical of northern Italy. In the south, they tend to use more semolina, which also makes a great pasta, and you probably wouldn't use eggs, but this is a kind of, it's not a soft dough. People think that, you know, fresh pasta is going to be softer. It really depends a lot on how you work the dough. And this is the thing that I'm going to try to impart to you now, is that if I were to stop right about there with a dough that looks like that, that took me, what, a minute. I could actually make, this will make a decent noodle. Nothing bad about it. It will hold up in a soup. It'll be fine. I can just roll them out, cut them. In fact, I could do that right now if I really wanted to. But what I'm trying to do is make a really stiff dough. You can see I'm going to try and get as much flour into it as I can. And then I'm going to knead this for half an hour. Yes, I know that sounds crazy, but I want to make a nice, really chewy noodle. And it's not traditionally Italian. In Italy, they don't do it this way. But it's very typical of Asian noodles. If you find a, you know, certainly stretched noodles are pulled a long time. And I think if you want a noodle of great consistency, you can see I have a perfectly lovely dough there. This will be fine as is. But I want to make it into something really lovely, chewy. And if you can see what I'm doing here, I am working this thing with all my might, and I'm not just kneading it, but I am breaking it, which means that I'm squishing the dough. It's not the same as you would do with a bread dough at all. Bread dough is very soft and lovely and easy to knead. This is really a pain, okay? And I know this seems superfluous, and you might say, well, I'm just going to use a machine. I don't need to do this. This is really part of the fun, part of the exercise, part of what builds up your incredible muscles, you know. And this, if it sticks a little, just use a little bench scraper like that. And I'm gonna see you in half an hour. Hang on. Okay, so that was a half an hour of kneading. If you take a look, my dough is nice and smooth. I'm just going to pop it into this plastic bag, and I'm gonna let it rest at least an hour or so. But here's what I discovered. My Fitbit measures kneading. Okay, I'll see you soon. Okay, so here's the dough. I'm just gonna put some flour on the board. I'm gonna roll it out. This shouldn't take too long. It's rested. Not quite an hour, but it should be good enough. And notice that I'm using a tapered pin. I prefer these. I'm not sure why. I think you can just get a lot more force down onto the dough. You just have to be careful not to roll it out unevenly. You know, just feel the dough, and if you have a corner that seems to be a little thicker, just coax it into shape. I assume you can see that. I'm just making a nice little square here. Now normally what I would do with a piece this size is I would roll it out the entire width of this board, and I get a really thin, light, almost evanescent kind of noodle. That's not what I'm going to do this time. I actually want a fairly thick noodle, and one that's really chewy. Not going to be terribly long, but it will be serious and here the word is perfectly appropriate, toothsome. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pair it with some duck. You can probably hear I have some little confit leg going in there, just sizzling in the corner. It smells so good. Oh my God. And I think if I just put it in a little meat stock, a couple of vegetables, you know, the aesthetic is overall really Asian. It's not an Italian one, even though I'm using Italian flour. The technique for rolling the dough and for making everything thus far is really Chinese. You know that's the idea. Although I'm not sure any, you know, they wouldn't use tools like this, and they wouldn't use duck confit exactly, but something very close actually. There's a kind of duck confit in China. So I don't want to well, actually, you really can't overflour this. It's not going to absorb much. I just don't want it to stick. But you can see that this is enough to feed one person. So if you're going to do it for two, use about 2 cups of flour and 2 eggs. If you can use 4, do more. You know, it's actually no more work. This took maybe 2 minutes to do. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to just roll this up very nicely. And without any ado with my baby, I'm just going to cut this into very fine noodles. And they're going to come out squarish. You can probably see this will take just a second actually. You could cut it on a kitara, you could cut it with your Atlas machine, any way you want. But you can see that really took no time at all. And actually less time to set up a machine and do everything. And certainly not an electric machine. And I think these will be nice and chewy. So all I'm really going to do with these is I'm going to boil them. I'm going to cool them off in cold water and wait until all my other ingredients are ready. I'm going to put them in the soup stock. I'm going to add the shredded duck and then some vegetables, maybe some bok choy, a little ginger, a little lime juice, maybe some chili, maybe a drop of fish sauce to add to it. But you can see that these guys are not going to stick together. I could squeeze them, and they're very unlike an Italian noodle. This is really an Asian noodle that I've got here. I'll show you a picture when I'm done. Okay, hang on. Okay, here we go. I'm going to put it all together in just a minute or two, I think. I'm taking the pasta and throwing it in the water. You can't see the pot there, but it's just a pot of boiling water. I'm going to give it about a minute, okay, and no more than that. And what I've got is some stock boiling right here, which I took out of the freezer. I made it a week or two ago. And I've got the duck. I've got a little bok choy that I just blanched, a little bit of red pepper that I chopped up, and I think that should be perfectly lovely. Maybe I'll get some hot sauce, a little smoked salt to finish it off. But I'm counting 37, 38 seconds. I literally don't want to overcook this stuff because I want the noodles to be nice and chewy. Can you see them? Yeah, you can. So let's give it just another couple seconds. Actually, I'm going to taste one just to see what it's like. That's what I do all the time. Oh. Count to 10. They've risen up. I realized that when they go in the hot broth, they're going to cook just for another minute or two. So I'm actually going to put this cover on them. In the meantime, actually what I'd like to do when I'm arranging the bowl is I usually put the noodles in first, then I arrange the ingredients on top, and then I pour the broth on afterwards, because otherwise it just gets all muddled. Now it gets muddled the minute you eat it anyway, but to show you a nice bowl, it will be nice to look at, I think, that way. So what I'm going to do, we have another for 9:50. I'm going to give it 2 minutes actually, because these were quite thick. And 58, 59, 60. Okay, so I'm going to drain this over there in the sink. And I am going to rinse it because it's not not going in a sauce or anything. I'm just gonna put it in soup, so I don't really want any starch to cloud my soup. I like a nice clear soup. So here are the noodles, okay? I'm gonna arrange them on one side, make a little mountain out of them. Okay, and I'm gonna add these nice greens in the corner. These nice red element right there. Can you see all this? Just arranging a bowl. And I think I'm going to put the duck in the bottom here. So when you get to the bottom, you'll have this nice pile of duck. Just one leg. But I want you to take a look at how this is arranged. See, I've got a few different areas. I might futz with a little, just bring the noodles up a little bit so you can see what it looks like. And then I'm going to get a ladle of the broth. Pour it right on top. Maybe another. I've got actually started with 3 cups of broth for a single serving. And I'm probably going to use it reduced. I'll do about 2 at this time. But it will look, you know what, I'm just going to pour the rest of it on top. No reason to futz with this. There we go. And you have, let's finish it off with just a little bit of crunchy smoked salt. There you have it. It's just noodle soup. I think it'll work.